everybody, I hope you're doing well and welcome to the platform of Codechef. Today we're going to be solving the problem My Fair Coins. The difficulty level for this problem is easy and the prerequisites required are your implementation. This is your educator Ansh and I hope you like my video. Let's proceed to the problem statement. Okay, now let me just summarize the entire problem statement. Basically, in the problem, we are given a matrix. The matrix contains some of the elements. First of all, it is my humble request to all of you kindly read and understand the problem carefully. Now, I'll just summarize the problem for you all. Now, basically, you are given R, C, which are nothing but the coordinates of the matrix, and you'll be given a matrix of R cross C size, right? Here, if your 2 cross 3 is given, you'll be given a 2 cross 3 matrix. Now, you'll be given some values in your matrix. Now, what you have to do is, basically, you have to find the value such that it is smallest in its row, and you have to find the value that is largest in its column. Now, it can be proven that only one such value exists, and if no such value exists, then you have to print yes, that means no such value is existing in the following matrix. So here, if you consider the following case, if you consider the 8, so you can consider the 8 here. Here 8 element or this particular element as you can see is the smallest in this entire row. So out of 9, 8, 8, my 8 is the smallest element. And if you look at this particular column which is 8, 6, here you can see your 8 is the largest element. Hence the answer for this case is 8. Now look at any other variables, right? So you can consider any other element. If you consider 9, your 9 is first of all not the smallest in this entire row, so it cannot be considered. If you consider this 8, your 8 is also smallest in the entire row, but it is not largest, or basically this particular 8, here it is 11. So your 8 is not the largest in the entire column, and even this cannot be considered. My 2 in this case is smallest in the entire row, which is true, but my 2 is not largest in the column, so even this 2 is wrong. My 6 is not smallest in the row, hence it is wrong. My 11 is also not smallest in the row, it is wrong. So only one element can satisfy this condition, hence this answer can be determined uniquely, right? So only one answer will exist. And if no answer exists, then I have to print yes. So either answer exists and it is uniquely defined, or no answer will exist. So this is what the problem is asking. So how to approach such kind of problems? So what you can do is you can generate your row array and column array which will contain the maximum of each and every row individually. So say I have generated my row array. So what the row array will hold is my row array will contain two entries because there are two rows currently present. Now each of my row, since I want to calculate the minimum element in the row, each value will contain the minimum value in that particular row. So for the first row, the minimum value is 8. So row array will contain 8. In the second row, the minimum value is 2. So row array will contain 2. Right? So this is the case. And then for my column array, let's see what it will contain. Each column should contain the maximum of the entire column. So here, I checked this particular column. My column array will contain 3 entries out of 9, 2. My 9 is the maximum out of 8, 6. My 8 is the maximum, and out of 8, 11. Again, my 8 is the maximum, or basically here my 11 is the maximum, right? So yeah, this becomes the row array and column array. Now at any given point of time, we'll match the entries of row array with the column array. So here I try to match 8 with 9. Is my 8 equal to 9? No. Is my 8 equal to 8? Yes. So basically this particular position, so let's say I'm denoting this position of 1, 2, and let's say I'm denoting this position 1, 2, 3. So if my 8 and 8 match, that means 1, 2 is the required answer. Or basically my row number 1 and column number 2. So let me just write it clearly. So it's 9, 8, 8, 2, 6 and 11. So if my 8 and 8 are matching in this particular section, that means in my first row, second column, the required element is existing and its value is 8. So at any given point of time, if our value matches, then our answer directly becomes 8. So this is what we have to do. That if we generate a row array and column array and we try to compare every entry with every entry, right? So if we are successfully able to match any element, then our answer becomes that particular element. Otherwise, our answer is guess. That means we have found no answer. And this becomes the approach to solve this particular problem. Now let us understand this approach in the coding section. So let us proceed to the coding section. Okay, now let us try and understand the code for the following problem. Here I have included all my necessary header files. Then in my main function, I included my R and C according to the input format. Then I initialized my matrix of R, C, and then initialized my row array of R length and my column array of C length, as we discussed in the approach section. Now I traversed in the entire grid, I inputted each and every matrix element, and I initialized my row of I default by int max. Since my row of I will contain the minimum of the entire row, the initial value should be as maximum as possible, and my column of j as 0, since my column array should contain the minimum of all the column, or basically the maximum of all the column, sorry. So my column of j by default should be a low value, so that every time we take maximum, column of j gets updated to the maximum value. Now our approach is simple. I traverse in the entire array and I generate my row and column array accordingly. So I update my row array as the maximum of all the, or basically a row array as all the minimum elements in the entire row, and I generate my column array as the maximum elements in all the entire column, right? So after that, what I do is I initialize my x as -1. And then as I discussed in the approach section, if at any given point of time I find any of my row of value matching to the column value, that means that index I comma j is the smallest value in the entire row and largest value in the entire column, right? So our answer becomes x of row of I, or that particular value becomes my required answer. So if our x was initially -1, if we found any value that satisfies this condition, then we initialize our x as row of I. So therefore, if our x is not modified at the end, or basically our x is not -1, then we know that our answer is achieved and we see out x according to the output format. Otherwise, we output guess. That means that we are not able to get our answer. And yes, this becomes the code for solving this particular problem. Now let us run this code on the sample test cases to check whether our code is working successfully or not. So as you can see, we got the exact output according to the output format. Now let us submit our code on the actual test cases to check whether our code passes all the cases successfully or not. Okay, so as you can see, we got the correct answer verdict for the following problem. And yes, this becomes the right way to implement this particular problem. This problem was just a major implementation problem. Now let us discuss what are the mistakes people can make in solving this particular problem. So this problem was mainly based on finding the row array, or basically it's finding the minimum of the entire row and maximum of the entire column. Once you find that particular value, it's a simple comparison and you can easily get your answer in time complexity of R into C, right? So yeah, if that particular observation was clear, I think implementing this code is fairly simple, and yeah, you can easily implement this code just writing this basic for loops. Yeah, there's the code for solving this particular problem, and there's the learning you get from watching my video. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.